everyone, and welcome back. Ready to dive into some serious sci-fi that's actually closer than we think.
Let's do it.
So today we're tackling what a radically positive future with AI could look like, and our guide is Dario Amodei and his essay, Machines of Loving Grace. You know that Dario
Oh,
Amodei.
yeah, the Dario Amodei, CEO of Anthropic, the company laser-focused on AI safety.
Exactly. And he makes this point. Just focusing on AI dangers is like putting out a fire without knowing what you're even saving.
It's like, what's the point if we don't know what we're fighting for?
Right. So we need that what are we fighting for
Right.
perspective. And that's this deep dive. Amodei lays out this vision of powerful AI, not just smarter phones, but a whole different scale.
Yeah, think a whole country of geniuses, but in a data center.
Okay, wow.
Amodei's talking about AI outsmarting even Nobel Prize winners, working at speeds we can't even fathom. Millions of these AI minds all collaborating.
Country of geniuses is a wild image. It really puts it into perspective. But Amodei's also clear that AI isn't magic. There are limits.
Oh, for sure. And one of the biggest is data. AI needs mountains of info to learn. Sometimes that data just doesn't exist or it's a mess. Even the smartest AI can't use it.
It's like trying to bake a cake without all the ingredients.
Exactly. Even with the recipe, the oven, the best bakers, no ingredients, no cake. And then there's the speed of the physical world, right? The eye's thinking lightning fast, but it can't make cells grow faster or brain learn instantly. Real-world speed bumps.
So AI's got potential, but it has to work within limits. No overnight revolution.
Exactly. Amodei calls it returns to intelligence. How much impact AI has depends on if intelligence is the bottleneck. If thinking faster is what's holding us back, AI could be revolutionary.
So where does Amodei see the biggest breakthroughs? Where is intelligence limiting us?
He's super excited about biology and health. Thinks AI could cram 50 to 100 years of progress into the next 5 to 10.
Seriously, like curing cancer, wiping out diseases, all that in the next decade?
He thinks it's possible. He says a lot of biology research is just slow. Living things are complex, experiments take time, our knowledge is limited. AI could blow past all that.
I get that AI analyzes data fast, but can it really replace scientists?
That's where it gets cool. Amodei sees AI as a virtual biologist, designing experiments, finding promising paths, even making tools we haven't dreamed of.
So it's like having a 204/7 research assistant, connecting dots, making breakthroughs faster.
Yes. Think about CRISPR, right? Revolutionized gene editing. Wasn't some huge project, just a few researchers making connections. Amodei says AI speeds up those aha moments. Stuff that would have taken us decades to figure out, AI could uncover in a fraction of the time.
Not brute forcing research, but finding those elegant solutions, the breakthroughs that change what's possible.
Exactly. And for biology and health, those breakthroughs could change everything.
So what does this future actually look like? What's Amodei envisioning?
Well, he sees a world without infectious diseases. Like smallpox is now a distant memory. AI could help us develop vaccines so fast that even ancient diseases could be eradicated.
It would be incredible to tell our kids about these diseases like we talk about the bubonic plague, a scary thing of the past.
No more worrying about your kid getting the flu. That's the future Amodei sees.
Wow. What about cancer? It still feels so scary and unpredictable.
He's optimistic about that too. Thinks with AI, we're on track to eliminate most cancers, especially with personalized treatments tailored to your genes. AI could analyze tumor cells, figure out which drugs would work best, even how the cancer will progress. More targeted, more successful.
So AI takes the guesswork out of medicine, makes it more precise.
And not just treating, but preventing. Amodei says AI could revolutionize how we approach genetic diseases, cures, even preventing them in the first place.
Wow, that's huge. Going to the root of the problem, the genes themselves.
Right, and it doesn't stop there. He sees AI making strides against things like Alzheimer's, slowing down, maybe even reversing that cognitive decline.
This is all amazing, but it's a lot to process. Like, we're on the edge of this revolution, but it's hard to grasp what it all means.
It's a lot. But Amodei even suggests that with these advances, the average lifespan could double.
Double? That's a bold prediction.
Sounds crazy, but life expectancy basically doubled in the 20th century, right? Sanitation, healthcare, nutrition. Amodei thinks AI could be that level of a leap forward.
Wow, to think we're on the edge of something that big, it's mind-boggling. Okay, so healthier bodies, longer lives. What about the mind? Can AI help us there too?
Absolutely. Amodei thinks AI could impact our minds just as much as our bodies. And remember, he's not just an AI expert. He understands neuroscience deeply.
So what kind of mind-blowing advancements are we talking about? In the brain, I mean.
Well, Amodei sees AI helping in a few key ways. First, it can boost traditional drug discovery and genetic research. That's huge for understanding and treating mental illness. Depression, anxiety, PTSD, the things affecting so many of us.
Yeah, it feels like everyone knows someone struggling with their mental health these days. If AI could help us find better treatments, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. But it goes further than that. Amodei also talks about AI driving progress in things like optogenetics.
Okay, for those of us who aren't neuroscientists, what in the world is optogenetics? It sounds like something out of Star Trek.
It kind of is. It uses light to control specific neurons in the brain. Imagine targeting the exact neurons involved in Parkinson's and using light to control their activity.
So instead of drugs with side effects, we could be treating neurological disorders with light. Wild.
It really is sci-fi becoming real. Amodei thinks optogenetics, powered by AI, could revolutionize how we treat all sorts of neurological and psychiatric conditions.
I can see the headlines now. Scientists treat depression with light beams. But are we talking about a realistic timeline here, or is this way off in the future?
Amodei says some of it is early stage, but the speed of AI and neuroscience makes it more a question of when, not if.
That's incredibly exciting. But we have to think about the downsides, right? Messing with the brain, even with good intentions, it feels risky.
You're right to bring that up. Amodei stresses that with any powerful tech, ethics are essential. We have to be careful, especially with something as complex as the brain.
It's not just what we can do, but what we should do. That's a conversation we need to be having.
Totally. We need ethical guidelines, regulations, the whole 9 yards to make sure these technologies are used responsibly for everyone's benefit.
That makes sense. So we've got these incredible healthcare advances on the horizon. But what about the rest of the world? Will everyone benefit, or will this just widen the gap between the haves and the have-nots?
The million-dollar question. And Amodei tackles it head-on. He looks at AI's impact on economic development and global poverty.
So is he optimistic? Can AI lift people out of poverty, or is he worried about making inequality worse?
He knows AI alone can't solve poverty. Technology isn't a magic bullet. But he sees reasons for optimism, especially in how AI can level the playing field.
Okay, I'm all ears. How can AI have a positive impact on a global scale?
Well, he points to smallpox eradication. It wasn't just the vaccine, but getting it everywhere, even remote communities. AI could be huge for public health initiatives.
So tracking outbreaks in real time, getting vaccines and treatments where they need to be, even predicting the next outbreak. It's like a global health expert working 24/7 to protect everyone.
That's the idea. Amodei also thinks AI is vital for tackling climate change, which hits developing countries hardest, developing clean energy faster, getting off fossil fuels, adapting to the changes. He sees AI as essential.
It's a good point. If we don't solve climate change, the rest might not even matter.
Exactly. He sees AI as critical for a sustainable future. For everyone.
Okay, so AI can help with climate change.
Right.
What about the economic side? Can it close the gap between rich and poor countries?
He's cautiously optimistic, but realistic about the challenges. It's not just the tech, but how it's used. Throwing AI at poverty without fixing things like corruption or bad governance won't magically make everyone rich.
So it's not more AI equals more prosperity. There's more to it.
Right. He says AI can boost growth, but it needs smart planning, good decisions, and making sure everyone benefits.
It's like he's saying, don't repeat the mistakes of the past. Let's make sure everyone has a chance.
Exactly. Amodei is urging us to build a future where AI benefits all of humanity, not just a select few.
Powerful message.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got health, the mind, economics, but there's another big one. Amodei tackles peace and governance.
Right. He doesn't shy away from the big questions. He knows that even if we fix disease, poverty, inequality, there's still conflict, still suffering.
So even if everyone is healthy, wealthy, and wise, we could still find ways to mess it all up.
Sadly, yes. Look at history. Amodei knows AI could be used for good or bad when it comes to peace and governance. It's a tool, like any other.
I get that. On one hand, AI could help us resolve conflicts peacefully, communicate better, create a more just world.
Exactly. Imagine AI-powered diplomacy, analyzing tons of data to spot potential conflicts before they happen, helping people communicate, find common ground.
That would be incredible, like having a team of super negotiators working 247 to prevent conflicts.
Right, and it's not just preventing conflict, but creating a fairer world. AI could track human rights abuses, expose corruption, hold the powerful accountable.
In a world where information is power, AI could give a voice to those who don't have one, expose injustice.
Precisely. But the flip side is scary. AI could be used to control people, increase surveillance, even create autonomous weapons that make war more likely.
It's like a dystopian sci-fi movie. Machines making life or death decisions on the battlefield.
Amodei doesn't ignore those risks. He says we need to be incredibly careful, especially with military applications of AI.
So a more peaceful world isn't guaranteed. It depends on the choices we make, the safeguards we put in place.
Absolutely. Amodei says we need these conversations now while AI is still developing. Ethical guidelines, international agreements, regulations. We need to make sure AI is used for good.
That's a big task, but the stakes are high. We're talking about the future of peace and security in a world increasingly shaped by technology.
Exactly. And Amodei thinks the best way to ensure a good outcome is to work together. He says we need global cooperation, open dialogue, and a shared commitment to using AI for everyone's benefit.
It's hopeful but urgent. We can't be complacent. The choices we make today will shape the future.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned AI being used for good or bad in terms of peace and governance, because Amodei actually lays out a whole strategy for how democracies can use AI to make global democracy stronger.
Okay, now we're talking. What's the plan?
He calls it the Entente strategy. Basically, democratic countries need to get a head start in AI, not to take over, but to set the rules of the game.
So making sure AI is shaped by those democratic ideals,
Mm.
freedom, human rights, all that.
Exactly. Amodei says that by leading in AI, democratic nations can make sure it benefits everyone. He sees it as a mix of carrots and sticks, encouraging other countries to adopt similar values and rules for AI.
So like a global campaign, join the AI-powered democracy party, it's going to be awesome.
Kinda, yeah. He thinks a more peaceful, prosperous, democratic world, thanks to AI, would be so appealing that other nations would want in.
That's a cool idea, but tough to pull off, right? Getting everyone on board, especially these days.
Amodei knows it's a challenge, but he thinks the payoff is too big to ignore. Democracies need to lead by example, show the world that AI can be a force for good. More cooperation, less competition, everyone wins.
Okay, so let's say this Entente strategy works. What would an AI-powered democracy actually look like?
Amodei sees AI working on a bunch of levels, from fighting fake news to making governments more efficient and trustworthy.
So starting with the fake news problem, how would AI even help with that? It feels like we're drowning in it.
Tell me about it. Amdo thinks we can train AI to spot fake or misleading stuff, helping us cut through the noise and make smarter decisions.
Like having an army of fact-checkers debunking everything in real time.
Basically. But Amodei's not talking about censorship. He still thinks open debate is super important. AI would be a tool for understanding, not silencing.
So helping people think for themselves, not telling them what to think.
Exactly. And besides tackling disinformation, he sees AI making governments more transparent, efficient, and accountable.
Okay, I see how that helps democracy, but how would it actually work?
Well, imagine AI streamlining all that bureaucracy, making it easier to actually use government services, renewing your license, doing your taxes, all done by talking to an AI.
No more spending hours at the DMV. Sign me up.
Right. And it's not just convenience. AI could track spending, spot corruption, make sure resources are used right.
So holding those in power accountable, making sure they're serving the people, not themselves.
Exactly. Amodei says more transparency and accountability means more trust in government, which is vital for a healthy democracy.
It makes sense. If people feel like the government is working for them, they'll be more engaged, more likely to stand up for those democratic values.
Exactly. Amodei also sees a role for AI in making the legal system fairer.
That's a big one. Our justice system has a lot of problems, biases that lead to unfair outcomes. How could AI fix that?
Amodei says we can use AI to spot and reduce those biases, like in sentencing or jury selection. Make sure everyone is treated equally, no matter who they are.
So not replacing judges with robots, but giving them a tool to make fairer decisions.
Right. AI could analyze all those legal cases, find patterns of bias, flag potential miscarriages of justice, help us build a more just system overall.
Sounds like Amodei sees AI as a protector of democracy, using its power to safeguard our freedoms.
That's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't forget that AI is just a tool. It's up to us to use it wisely, hold our leaders accountable, and make sure it's used for good.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've talked about AI on the world stage, but let's get personal. Amodei also digs into the future of work. which feels like a big worry for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Machines taking our jobs is a scary thought, especially with AI getting smarter all the time. But Amodei doesn't think mass unemployment is a foregone conclusion.
Well, that's good to hear. So what does he think? How will AI change how we work?
He knows some jobs will be automated, but he also thinks AI will create new opportunities, even whole industries we can't imagine yet.
So it's not humans versus robots, but humans and AI working together in new ways.
Exactly. He says we need to be adaptable, always learning. The most valuable skills will be the ones AI struggles with: creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, teamwork.
It's like that saying, it's not the strongest who survive, but those who adapt the best.
Exactly. Amodei thinks we'll need to be flexible, always learning new things, working with AI, finding ways to contribute that go beyond what machines can do.
So not necessarily working less, but working differently, more creatively, more collaboratively, with AI as our partner.
I like that. AI is our partner. Amodei's optimistic that we'll find new, fulfilling ways to contribute, even as AI takes over those routine tasks. Work becomes less about drudgery and more about purpose, passion, meaning.
That sounds amazing. But what about the people who lose their jobs to automation? What happens to them during this transition?
Amodei doesn't shy away from that. He says we need to be proactive, invest in education, retraining, help people adapt to these new roles and industries that AI will create.
Yeah. So make sure everyone has a chance to thrive in this AI-powered world, not just those who already have the skills.
Exactly. He believes this transition needs to be fair, and that means investing in people and opportunity.
That makes sense. Okay, so we've got this potential utopia, AI curing diseases, fixing climate change, strengthening democracy, even helping us find more meaning in our work. It almost sounds too good to be true. Is Amodei being overly optimistic? Can we really achieve all this?
Amodei knows it's an optimistic vision, but he says it's based on what AI can actually do, on where technology is headed.
So not easy, but possible if we make the right moves.
Right. He says this needs a collective effort, a global commitment to working together, innovating, believing in our own ability to solve these big challenges.
It's a big ask, but inspiring. The future isn't set in stone. We have the power to shape it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're not just watching this AI revolution happen, we're a part of it. The choices we make today will resonate for generations.
Powerful stuff. Before we get too deep into the philosophy of it all, there's one more thing I want to touch on: Amodei's thoughts on what it means to live a meaningful life in this AI-driven world.
Something a lot of us are wondering about. If AI can do everything better than us, what's left for us to do? What gives our lives meaning?
That's a really great point. If AI can do everything better, what does make life meaningful? It's almost like we have to redefine what it means to be human in this new world.
Right, and that's exactly what Amodei says. He challenges that whole idea that we're only valuable for our economic output, like how much we contribute to the traditional workforce.
So it's not just about our jobs or our productivity. There's more to us than that.
Exactly. Amodei says meaning comes from all sorts of places. Human connection, creativity, being part of a community, learning, just experiencing life.
It's about finding what makes us human. Even with AI in the picture, it's almost like AI could free us up to focus on those things.
That's Amodei's point. If we're not always working just to survive, we'd have more time for passion projects, for our communities, for creativity,
It's a really exciting thought. Work becomes less about a paycheck and more about purpose, about making a difference, about doing what we love.
Exactly. But Amodei's not naive about it. He knows this transition won't be easy. We'll need new ways of thinking about the economy, about society, about work itself.
Right. It's not like we can just flip a switch and suddenly everyone's living their best life.
No, but his point is, don't let the challenges stop us from trying. Be bold, experiment, be open to new possibilities.
Don't be afraid of the unknown. See the potential, even with the uncertainty.
Exactly. Amodei is saying we're not just along for the ride. We create the future with the choices we make today.
I love that. It's a message of hope and possibility, even amidst all the complexities of AI.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes his essay so powerful. He doesn't sugarcoat the risks, but he also pushes us to focus on the good that can come from this technology if we do it right.
Focus on the possibilities, not just the fears. I like that.
And more importantly, he's saying we need to be part of this conversation. We need to demand that AI is developed responsibly, ethically, for the benefit of all humans.
We can't just sit back and let it happen. We have to be active participants in shaping this future.
Exactly.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by how fast technology changes. Like, We're just passengers on a runaway train. But Amodei reminds us that we have a choice. We can change the direction, steer towards a future that reflects our best selves, not our worst fears.
It's about taking responsibility for ourselves and for future generations to make sure AI is a force for good in the world.
A responsibility we can't take lightly. Well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into Dario Amodei's vision of the future with AI.
Wow, we covered a lot of ground.
Hmm.
From curing diseases to tackling climate change, even figuring out what it means to live a meaningful life alongside these incredible machines.
It's a vision that's both inspiring and challenging. Amodei doesn't shy away from the hard questions, but he leaves us feeling hopeful, like a better future is possible.
If we're brave enough to imagine it
Hmm.
and work together to build it.
And that's something worth fighting for. So as we wrap things up, here's something to think about. If Amadei's vision came true, what would it mean for you? How would your life be different? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Until next time, keep asking those big questions and never stop believing in the power of human ingenuity.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you on the next episode where we'll unpack another fascinating topic and arm you with the knowledge you need to make sense of this ever-changing world.